Global Agenda is a spy-fi action MMO where you create a special agent character and you're engaged in a high-tech conflict to basically compete for the limited resources and territory on the planet. This basically takes place after a Third World War, so the slate has been wiped clean. There's less hospitable land on the planet, which is what generates all the conflict between the groups, both the NPC factions and the player-driven groups. So there's one primary NPC faction called the Commonwealth. They're kind of an Orwellian, controlling, big brother sort of world government. The player actually starts out as a fugitive from this entity and then escapes and joins where the real action happens, which is the player-created agencies who are competing for the scarce land and actually constructing habitable locations within that. The combat system is derived from modern multiplayer shooters, so we've got all the firearms you'd expect in a traditional shooter, but we add in ranged combat, jetpacks, very importantly. You want to fight from rooftop to rooftop, and about 100 other futuristic high-tech devices. So the combat is very, very fluid and fast-paced. It's got a traditional RPG advancement system, but also on top of all that, there's a strategy layer. So basically player-created groups that we call agencies are competing for scarce resources and territory. We can actually choose other agencies to ally with. Some we may ally with for a while, then turn out and backstab them, change our alliances, etc. So a lot of the player-driven kind of drama and intrigue comes between these groups competing for one another. It's a skill-based system, but the skills are filtered by classes. So every class has got a set of devices that are unique to them. So they all may share some common devices like basic rifles, but when it comes to the majority of the weapons, like 90% are very unique per class. The 4 classes that we have are basically Assault, Medic, Recon. Probably the most unique class to Global Agenda would be Robotics. There you're dealing with many deployables such as force fields, turrets, as well as remote control pets. So it's really a fun class, although one that takes a while to master. What we've done is basically engineered a system where small instance strike team combat of 8 to 12 agents per side is a typical battle. So it's intimate combat where every player really can make a difference. So you and I might be part of an agency and we may coordinate a base raid where 6 strike teams of 8 to 12 teams each, so basically a group of about 60 people, are all engaged in a single operation against an enemy agency. But the actual combat are multiple instances of 8 to 12 agents. You and I may be responsible for taking out the turret station on Objective 1 in one map, and our allies in another map will actually see turrets drop when we're successful in our mission. So that way it links together all the combat, but still keeps every player very close to the action. We have 3 types of locations within Global Agenda. First are social spaces, so traditional cities where you're going for just R&R in between combat. Second are mission locations. I go in, I play either a PvE or a PvP mission. I get a little more experience and basically just have a fun, fair match because of our matchmaking system on the back end. Finally, there's the third type of location, which are agency territories. So these are actually unique locations within the world that we can claim as an agency. We decide what sort of facilities we want to construct on that territory. Those are created by Hi-Res, they're not generated on the fly, but as an agency I can choose how I want to defend it. So for instance, I might choose to pay for and build turrets and put that within my particular plant resource, or I might choose to build a base. As characters advance, which they can do through either PvE or PvP missions, they gain skill points and basically gain access to better and better devices. And for us, a big component of the advancement system was adding more versatility to the player as they advance. So not just more power, but more options. So as I advance as, say, an assault, maybe I started off with a very simple rifle, then I'm adding miniguns, I'm adding grenade launchers, sticky grenade launchers, particle cannons from afar, EMP grenades that can stun turrets. I'll actually unlock more than I can take with me on any single mission. So as a high-level character, I'll have many more options than you do as a new character, but you'll actually be able to compete with me in a PvP situation in a meaningful way because the disparity in power in Global Agenda is much less than in a traditional fantasy RPG. The big element where uniqueness and kind of crafting and creation comes into play are the agency-related items. So again, as an agency, we're going to choose where we want to invest our resources. Do we want to secure versus turrets? Do we want to take a military approach and really equip our facilities? Or do we want to more invest in research or diplomacy related items to advance towards the end game? We're due to enter closed beta in the second quarter. Folks can go to globalagendagame.com to pre-register for that, and we're shooting for a release late 2009.